In this lecture, we are going to discuss GDPR Article 30, Records of Processing Activities, or as I endearingly refer to it as, RoPA. And actually, I think a lot of people refer to it as RoPA, but perhaps it's pronounced RoPA or RoPA. I guess it depends on the language. Anyway, quick note, if an entire lecture is devoted to one of the GDP articles, that would be a good hint to remember it. Definitely remember number 30, Records of Processing Activities. So we will begin by defining what RoPA is. We will then discuss other inventory details, stakeholders to interview, other requirements for RoPA, and RoPA exemptions. So records of processing activities needs to include POC details, POC here being point of contact, and this would be all of the different individuals who would be involved or potentially involved in the processing. For example, the data controller, data processor, the DPO, data protection representative, and joint controllers should all be listed. The RoPA must list the processing purpose. It must also list the categories of personal data, the data subjects whose data is in the system, and the processing. For example, the collection, storage, retrieval, use, disclosure, and erasure of the data. RoPA must also include the categories of recipients, and so with whom is the data shared or disclosed to. If the data is being transferred to a third country or multinational organization, then those countries and organizations need to be listed. The RoPA must also identify the appropriate safeguards in place. And we're going to talk more about safeguards and controls later in the course. But for now, you can think of those as administrative, technical, and physical controls. And finally, the RoPA should include the retention and disposal policies. Other inventory details that you might include in the RoPA are the specific security controls. And so we mentioned in the last slide the appropriate safeguards or controls. The major three flavors of controls are administrative, technical, and physical. One type of technical control is encryption. And encryption essentially scrambles data for anyone that does not have the key to decrypt the data. The inventory might also list the individuals with authorized access and the legal basis for processing. We will discuss the legal basis for processing in a future lecture, but there are a handful of those that you should remember for the exam. They include consent, contract, legal obligation, and three types of interest: vital interest, public interest, and legitimate interest. Again, we will come back to the legal basis for processing in the future, so you can just put that in the parking lot for now. When it comes to both putting together a data inventory and writing your RoPA, there are a number of stakeholders that you should interview to make sure that you're getting a full picture of the processing activities. Those stakeholders include the data owners, the business leads and managers, the data governance team, the marketing team, the legal team, the IT team, the group of folks responsible for continuity of operations, software engineers, and any other compliance folks. Two other RoPA-related requirements that you should remember. A DPA may request a RoPA, and if they do, it should be available upon request. Finally, you should also maintain a data flow analysis report or a data flow diagram. And we will talk about data flow diagrams in a bit. Certain organizations may be exempt from providing RoPA under the following conditions. The controller or processor of the data employs less than 250 people. The processing of personal data is occasional. There is no sensitive data that is processed. And the processing is an unlikely risk to data subjects' rights or freedoms. In this lecture, we discussed records of processing activities, or RoPA. These reports must include the following items: POC details, processing purpose, categories of personal data, data subjects and the processing, categories of recipients, transfers to third countries and multinational organizations, if applicable, appropriate safeguards and retention and disposal policies. Other inventory details are the specific security controls in place, such as encryption, individuals with authorized access and the legal basis for processing. I will not reread this list of stakeholders here, but this is the list of folks that should be interviewed in order to get a full accounting and context of the data being processed. 2 other requirements are that a RoPA must be deliverable to a data protection authority upon request, and the RoPA must also include a data flow analysis report. 4 exemptions are the controller and processor employ fewer than 250 people, the processing is occasional, there is no sensitive personal data that is processed, and the processing is unlikely to create a risk to the data subject's rights and freedoms.